Okay, what is he doing now? I feel like this could be the new exercise class.
All right, well, let's warm up a little bit, little robot kind of like warm up, kind of getting those hips to rotate, right? So we're gonna be working on getting hip rotation today.
Okay.
Hips rotating, where's that weight? Where's that weight? Outside foot, there you go, exactly. So that weight's rotating, hips rotating. So we're gonna be talking about today, obviously, is hips rotating. So the idea here is that during our moments of foot height offset where we're rolling into a turn, that we actually want the front side body to start to move in the direction we wanna go. And this is gonna be kicked off with some hip rotation, right? And so we get a lot of questions about this. We see this a lot in class where people are come through the skill drill zone and they get their outside foot down and they make it through the turn, or maybe they don't make it through the turn, but there's really no hip rotation, right? And as you know, getting our body to point in the direction we want to go is a big part of making a quality turn.
Yes, and what I've learned over the years is that when you let everything be initiated by that hip rotation, the rest follows naturally, versus this very robotic, like, oh, I have to have my elbow up, I have to have my shoulder here, I have to have my head here. Like, if you start with the hip, everything else falls into place.
Yeah, everything else is going to fall into place as we drive that outside knee forward and that hip rotates. That naturally is going to bring that outside elbow up, naturally going to bring our line of vision into the direction we want to go. So yeah, it's nice when we can have a simple cue that takes care of a lot of other things. So today I thought what we do is just go through a few turns, just take a look at what this looks like when it's done correctly and what this looks like when it's done incorrectly.
I'll do that part.
You're going to do that part? Yeah. I might put you in charge of both parts.
Okay.
All right, let's do this.
All right.
Okay. That looked good. I mean, so it feels good to do this correctly. So it was cool to see you warming up, a lot of hip rotation, a lot of traction into the heel. So now the tough part of the job, riding in correctly, right? Okay. So this time you're going to show the people, all of our fellow riders out there, kind of what happens when we don't. We're not going to show them the full implications of what could happen because we're not going to fall.
Never.
But we're going to basically show not getting hip rotation and how this kind of affects everything else that you have to do with your body to kind of make up for it.
Cool.
Okay, let's
try.
You can point your right hip at me, point your right hip at me.
If you don't rotate your hips, I feel like you have to push your bike into the turn.
You do. That's exactly it. So if your hips aren't rotating, so we've talked about this before, like when we come into the turn, we start to let the bike tip in, and then we create rotation, which is what creates the bike body separation. The bike is now left down to the inside, right? So if we come in and we're just kind of get our hip out, but we're not actually rotating, now the bike wants to stay upright. So now we would actually have to push it down with our arms. So this is one of the other things where one cue takes care of a lot of other things. This idea of rotating brings the bike down into the turn without a lot of hand pressure.
As a more analytical thinker, I will go through a whole checklist, but it's really tough to learn and to flow if you're going through like every different part of your body.
And that's been a big part of like my effort as a teacher, is to kind of like distill things down to the simplest possible thing, even though obviously we teach a lot of different things. Yeah. If we can find one cue that takes care of 3 or 4 cues, it's always a better place.
Right.
Right.
Cool.
All right, so that time, obviously not as comfortable as the time before, not getting a lot of hip rotation there. You had your hip out, but the hip wasn't really coming around, right? So the difference being that the time before, that outside knee was driving forward and that was really getting the outside hip to come through.
Yeah.
The other thing that happened as a result of that rotation is you actually got your arm in a lot better place. So like your outside elbow is in a better place versus just trying to get the hip out and not really feeling the actual rotation that pushes us into that nice, healthy kind of sweeping outside elbow as we come through the turn.
Yeah, I feel like I couldn't dig in as well on the inside edge, which meant I had to come in slower. It also meant that I was getting pushed to the outside of the turn.
Yeah. And while this is easy to do on this side, it's probably even easier to do on our front foot turn, right?
Easy to do
easier
wrong.
to do wrong on our front foot turn, right? So let's practice this in the other direction now
Okay.
and see what it looks like.
All right.
Good.
If you want to learn more, we have a full online school at fluidrideonline.com, and it's free to get started.
All right.
This is why we don't script
Okay.
anything. It's because this would never get approved, whatever's happening right now.
Exactly. Okay. So you're going to be back here.
Okay.
Your left foot forward, right? Left foot forward. I'm left foot forward. Okay.
This is like one of those banana boats.
Okay, so now we're going to stand up with our feet level here.
Uh-huh.
So we're going to be like level, and then we're going to be like dancing like this. Right?
Okay, so we're
Like this?
dancing.
Yeah, you like this?
Yeah,
Okay, ready?
and with hip rotation,
With
right?
hip rotation, yeah.
This is great. We should have a different YouTube channel just for this.
From the other side. Okay, so who was leading that time? I was leading or you were leading?
You were
I
leading.
was leading. You want to lead this time?
Sure.
So this time, now we got to do this. It's confusing. So we're left foot forward.
Okay,
So
weights
we're
on
going to
the
be
back
here.
foot.
And we're going to be moving to the front foot. Here.
So this is like, I feel like this could be the new exercise class. This could be the new Zumba.
This isn't Zumba?
It could be. We charge extra for this.
So this is one of the things that I often talk about in class. I talk about kind of why the mountain bike is the fastest vehicle in the world down a trail. And a lot of it is because of the way we can corner on the bike. So we can create this foot height offset, which allows hip rotation. And this is what's different about a bicycle as compared to a motorcycle. On the motorcycle, the feet are stuck at the same altitude. So the only way that a dirt bike rider can get hips to rotate is to take a foot off the vehicle to change the height of their feet. On a mountain bike, we can simply get outside foot pressure, bringing the outside foot a little bit lower, which allows us to rotate. So we really want to take advantage of this moment where we're getting this foot height offset, because it's only during these moments that we get this opportunity to get the hips to rotate. So for me, it's always, there's always this moment if my outside foot's going down for a turn where I'm immediately thinking about getting that outside hip to start to rotate in the direction I want to go.
Right. Yeah, that reminds me of that drill we did really early on where when you're standing with your feet level, your hips don't rotate as well as if one foot's up, they rotate better. And
Exactly.
so that's this
Yeah.
whole thing applied on the bike.
Exactly. As our outside foot goes lower, we're able to create that rotation around the body. And there's all kinds of cool drills we can practice on dry ground, as you saw today.
Very cool.
Very cool.
I feel like a better person now that I've done that.
Yeah, it's humbling to say the least. That's for sure. And all kinds of obviously drills we can practice on the bike, right? So get out there, practice all kinds of turns, get your dance moves on. We'll see you on the trail.